up, s'mores? I'm Shannon Morse, and welcome back to Snubs on Security, the show where I spill the tea and I share my caffeinated opinions on all things cybersecurity and hacking. We have got toilet cameras and a maximum severity flaw that's actively being exploited to chat about today. So yay! Happy Christmas, everyone! Also, if you are looking for a last-minute gift idea, you should get a cat. They're super fun. But you should also check out my sponsor, Delete Me. More on Delete Me in a little bit. Just make sure to hit up joindeleteme.com/Morse code to get 20% off any of their plans. So let's go ahead and jump into story number 1 and talk about toilets. Dude, my life is weird. The fact that I can stand up here and talk about a camera taking pictures of your poo and it involves data security is, well, that's my job now, so let's talk about it. Earlier this year, Kohler, yes, that Kohler, the toilets and sinks Kohler, launched a smart camera called Dakota. And this thing literally clips into your toilet bowl, it takes photos of what's happening down there, and it uses AI to analyze your gut health. Welcome to the future, I guess. Now, Kohler knew that people were going to freak out about privacy, and rightfully so, because obviously. So on their website, they reassured customers by saying the camera only looks into the bowl and that all data is protected with end-to-end encryption, except that wasn't actually entirely true. Security researcher Simon Fondry-Tatler dug into Kohler's privacy policy, and they found that when Kohler said end-to-end encryption, what they really meant was TLS encryption. So that's kind of the same encryption used whenever you visit a secure website with HTTPS. It protects data while it's traveling over the internet, but it does not mean that Kohler can't see the data once it hits their servers. And that distinction actually matters a lot. When most people hear end-to-end encryption, they think of apps like Signal, WhatsApp, iMessage, where even the company running the servers cannot see your messages. Using that term here could easily make users think that Kohler has zero access to their toilet photos, which is not the case. When questioned, a Kohler privacy contact explained that user data is encrypted at rest on your phone, the toilet attachment, and on Kohler's systems. They also said data is encrypted end-to-end while traveling between devices and Kohler's servers, but then it's decrypted on their systems so they can process it. SOS? Whoa, okay, hi. Chill out, girl. So, oh my god. Zelda. So yeah, that's not end-to-end encryption in the way most of us understand it. Fondry-Tatler also raised another red flag. If Kohler can access this data on their servers, could they also be using customers' bowl photos to train AI models? Kohler actually responded by saying their algorithms are trained only on de-identified data. Later, Kohler's head of regulatory affairs confirmed that if a user explicitly consents via an optional unchecked by default box in the app, Kohler may de-identify that data and use it for AI training. Now, after TechCrunch published their own story about this, Kohler quietly updated the Dakota product page and they removed all mentions of end-to-end encryption. So it now says the product uses data encryption at rest and in transit, which is significantly more accurate. And just in case you're wondering how much it costs to let a camera judge your poop, the Dakota is $599 USD plus a mandatory subscription starting at $699 per month. Oh my god, $699 per month. So yeah, friendly reminder that when companies throw around security terminology, it is worth slowing down and asking what they actually mean, especially when the data involved is this Zelda, no! Y'all saw that, right? Oh my gosh. My cat straight up jumped on my camera. So yeah, friendly reminder that when companies throw around security terminology, it is worth slowing down and asking what they actually mean, especially when the data involved is this personal. I had to take a moment. I thought everything was about to just come crashing down, but it's fine. I was able to set it back up, so we're okay. Zelda has left the room. She is hanging out with her dad, so. All right, let's talk about a quiet little security feature that Google just decided to sunset and why that matters more than the email makes it sound. Google has announced it's shutting down its dark web monitoring reports, an opt-in feature that alerted users when their personal information showed up in data breaches floating around the dark web. So if you were signed up, Google just sent out an email explaining that starting on January 15, 2026, the service will stop scanning entirely. Then Then on February 16th, 2026, all previously collected data disappears from your account. According to Google, the reason is pretty blunt. The feature did not provide helpful next steps, meaning they told you your information was out there, like, hey, your email and home address were found on the dark web, but without any kind of clear remediation steps, users did not find it actionable enough. And really, that's not totally wrong. Alerts without guidance can feel like a little panic button to a regular user, somebody who doesn't know instinctively what they should be doing. But that said, this feature actually mattered to a lot of people. Dark web reports originally launched in 2023 as a Google One perk. Then it expanded to all Google accounts in 2024, and it got folded into the Results About You experience, which means the service was only widely available for a little over a year before Google pulled the plug. Not exactly a long runway for a security tool that people had just started to rely on. In the shutdown email, Google encourages users to lean on other built-in tools instead, like security checkup, privacy checkup, passkeys, two-step verification or MFA, Google Password Manager, and password checkup. They also pointed people back to Results About You, which helps remove personal information like phone numbers and home addresses from Google's search results. But here's the key thing that I want to get to. None of those tools are going to replace dark web monitoring. They help you secure your account going forward, but they don't tell you when your data was already leaked somewhere shady. And that's the real gap being left behind here. Now, of course, Google is not the only game in town. We have services like Have I Been Owned with a P still doing breach monitoring. And there is this privacy-focused service that goes a step further by helping you actually remove your data from brokers, like data brokers, and reduce future exposure. Spoiler alert, it's called Delete Me, and I will tell you more about them in just a sec. Google even says in the email that they will continue to track and defend you from online threats, but that's kind of vague. So the takeaway here is very simple. If you were relying on Google to keep an eye on the dark web for you, that safety net is going away now. You will want to make sure you have some kind of monitoring in place, whether that's a dedicated breach alert service or a broader privacy protection tool that gives you real actionable steps when something goes wrong. Put something in place, because finding out that your data leaked online is only useful if you actually know what to do next. Google's dark web monitoring and Results About You search removals may tell you that your data is out there, but it does nothing to stop your data from being loaded onto data broker websites. And that brings me to my sponsor, Delete Me. Honestly, I didn't know when I was writing this episode that this would fit so well with one of the main topics of the discussion for today, but it does. So thank you so much to Delete Me for sponsoring this video. If you are making those last-minute gift purchases before the holiday and you're looking for something that can make a really big impact on someone's life, you should check out Delete Me. The holidays are full of phishing, scams, and identity thieves. So give the gift of privacy this holiday by sharing Delete Me with loved ones. And just a little bit of a pro tip, there are family plans, so you can totally sign up for an account too, and you can also reap the benefits. Delete Me goes through all those creepy data broker sites and they remove your personal information. I am talking about your home address, your phone number, even your family members' names. All of that information ends up online without your permission, and scammers absolutely love it. This time of year, those sites get scraped constantly by attackers who are looking for easy targets. Now, personally, I prefer to not be the low-hanging fruit when it comes to identity theft, so I use anything within my power to keep those problems away. Cybercriminals are using all sorts of tactics nowadays to trick holiday shoppers into clicking on nefarious links, even impersonating retail websites and using AI to craft really realistic-looking emails. So not only do I employ a lot of proper security hygiene whenever I do holiday shopping, but I also use Delete Me so potential identity thieves cannot find my info and use it to buy stuff under my name. Delete Me makes it super simple too. You just sign up, you tell them what data you want removed from the data broker sites, their team gets to work, and you get regular reports showing what they found and what they removed. If you have ever experienced identity identity theft, you know how stressful it can be just to get your life back. So if you want one less thing to worry about this season, definitely check out Delete Me. They are offering 20% off with my coupon code SNUBS at checkout. That's SNUBS. The link is right down below. My coupon code is exclusively available to my viewers too. So go over to joindeleteme.com/Morse code and use the code SNUBS for 20% off. That's joindeleteme.com/Morse code for 20% off with the code SNUBS. So protect your identity, protect your peace, and keep the holiday chaos right where it belongs in those retail stores. Start saving time and protecting your data today with Delete Me. And thank you so much to Delete Me for sponsoring this video. Okay, this one is a nightmare scenario if you care even a little bit about browser security. Security researchers have exposed a long-running campaign tied to a threat actor called Shady Panda, and the scale here is pretty wild. Over the course of 7 years, this group managed to turn popular Chrome and Edge browser extensions with more than 4.3 million installs into full-blown spyware. And the scariest part about this is this wasn't some obvious sketchy malware drop. These extensions started out completely legitimate. According to researchers from Kohler Security, Shady Panda either published or acquired harmless extensions like wallpaper tools, productivity apps, speed tests, and new tab replacements. They let them run clean for years and years, quietly building trust, positive reviews, and massive install counts. Some were even featured and verified by Google, which gave users an extra false sense of security. Then, right around mid-2024, this switch flipped. Malicious updates were pushed silently through the browser's auto update mechanism. No phishing, no fake emails, no pop-ups, nothing to click on, just a routine extension update that users never even noticed. And once it was compromised, these extensions turned into a remote code execution framework inside of the browser. They could download and run arbitrary JavaScript every hour with full browser access. That meant monitoring every website you visited, harvesting search queries, collecting cookies, capturing browser fingerprints, exfiltrating encrypted browsing data to attacker-controlled servers, all that. One of the worst examples was an extension called Clean Master, which at one point had Google's trust signals all attached to it. That trust helped attackers scale their user base before quietly weaponizing the extension years later. Now, another group of extensions, including one called WeTab, which alone racked up around 3 million installs, took things even further. They were tracking every URL visited, recorded mouse clicks, logged search engine queries, monitored scrolling behavior, and they transmitted all of it back to servers which were in China. As of the original reporting, WeTab was still live, though it has since been taken down, thankfully. Now, earlier phases of this campaign also included affiliate fraud, where extensions injected tracking codes when users visited sites like Amazon, eBay, or Booking.com to steal commission money, which honestly affects creators like me who use affiliate linking as a part of our earned income. That later escalated into full browser hijacking, including redirecting all searches through a known malicious service, logging and selling queries, and manipulating search results for profit. And here's where things get especially dangerous for security folks. And these extensions were not just spying, they were also capable of session hijacking. By stealing cookies and authentication tokens, Shady Panda could effectively impersonate users on software as a service or SaaS platforms like Google Workspace, Microsoft 365, Slack, Salesforce, all without triggering MFA or multi-factor authentication. Because the browser session was already authenticated, traditional security controls were completely bypassed. Now, this is a classic supply chain attack, but it was aimed squarely at browser extensions. Marketplaces review extensions whenever they are submitted, but they don't continuously monitor what happens after approval. And Shady Panda exploited that blind spot for years. Now, Microsoft has since removed the identified malicious extensions from the Edge add-on store, and they issued guidance telling users to update their browsers, remove unneeded extensions, and review permissions. But the bigger lesson here is this: Popular does not mean safe. If you've installed any of the affected extensions, or honestly, if you've installed extensions but you haven't thought about them in years, now is the time to go ahead and clean house, remove anything you don't absolutely need, rotate passwords, and assume that your browser may be part of your attack surface. Because this campaign proves one thing that is very, very clear to me: a helpful extension can quietly turn into spyware pretty much overnight, and you might never notice until it's way too late. Okay, so if you run React server components, and if you do know what this is, then you will know all about this story. But if you run that in production, this is one of those drop everything, just patch it right now, ask questions later type of stories. Because the brand new bug, which is nicknamed React2Shell, went from public disclosure to like real world exploitation very quickly. So here's the deal. It's labeled as CVE 2025-55182, and I will put a link down below to that CVE in case you want to read up on it. It's a max severity with a score of 10.0, that's CVSS 10.0, vulnerability in React server components that can enable unauthenticated remote code execution, or RCE attacks. No login is required, just a specially crafted request that can make your server run attacker-controlled code. Now the fixes are already out there, so you can fix this right away. You can pause this video and come back to it, whatever you need to do. React patched it in React 19.0.1, 1.2, and 2.1, and it specifically affects the server DOM packages used for RSC, like React Server DOM Webpack, Parcel, TAC, Turbo Pack. So now you know you can patch it, I wanted to tell you what's going on with it as well. AWS says it observed exploitation attempts in its Madpot, Honeypot infrastructure tied to IPs and infrastructure historically linked to China state nexus actors. Two names specifically were called out here. There's Earth Lamia and Jackpot Panda. AWS is really careful about attribution, like shared infrastructure makes it kind of messy and a little bit harder to say who exactly is attributed to these attacks, but the signal was strong enough to publish a warning. And the behavior looked like classic early stage exploitation, like quick little ping requests, like can I run little commands here and there, checks like who am I, or they tried writing test files like pwn.txt and reading sensitive system files like /etc/passwd. In other words, probing, confirming, and then going shopping for like follow-on payloads. And it got so bad that CISA even put it on KEV. Now CISA added React2Shell to the known exploited vulnerabilities, or KEV catalog too. The KVE listing shows a due date of December 12, 2025, which is already passed if you're just now watching this video, for federal agencies. And CISA explicitly notes that you should check for signs of compromise on internet accessible React instances. The patch now chaos even caused a Cloudflare outage. Do y'all remember that Cloudflare outage that happened around December 5th? Well, it turns out that it was actually caused by an internal change to how their WAF parsed requests, which they deployed to help mitigate the industry-wide React2Shell situation. So Cloudflare's own post says the incident began at 8:47 UTC, and it was resolved around 9:12 UTC. So it didn't last very long, but it did happen. Then Google got involved. So Google's threat intelligence group also published that they are seeing multiple threat clusters exploiting this flaw, ranging from opportunistic crime crews like crypto mining to suspected espionage activity with multiple malware families and post-exploitation tooling showing up all up in that wild. So if you are watching this and you're asking, well, what do I need to do other than just updating? Google did lay out a bunch of indicators of compromises, or IOCs, so I'm putting links in the notes below for this video so you can read up on those too. And they did recommend the following. First, of course, patch immediately to a fixed React version or fixed RSC server DOM packages, and do not assume that you are safe just because you updated React somewhere else. Inventory your dependencies and make sure that everything got updated. Hunt for compromises on internet-facing apps, like unexpected outbound curl wget from web processes, suspicious cron jobs or systemd persistence, weird hidden directories, or test file artifacts. Anything like that might give you a red flag or a warning warning that this is in effect. And treat public proof of concepts as a potential hazard too, because this whole ecosystem is full of junk and misleading exploit code right now. So defenders should stick to reputable write-ups and validated detections. So React2Shell, us as consumers, we don't really need to worry about this, but people that are working with developments, working with servers, if you are working as a network administrator, this is something really major that you need to focus on. React2Shell is basically this perfect little storm. Huge install base, lots and lots of people use it, lots of companies use it, dead simple exploitation, unauthenticated RCE, and attackers already automated the scanning. So that's great. That's just super. So yeah, just make sure to patch. And that is it for this week's episode of Snubs on Security. Again, a huge thank you to Delete Me for sponsoring this episode. Do not forget to snag that discount on Delete Me over at joindeleteme.com/Morse code. And as always, stay safe, stay secure. I hope you have a wonderful holiday. I will see you in the next one. I've got a few more videos before the end of the year to upload, but I'm gonna be taking some time off before the absolute craziness of the Consumer Electronics Show, which I'm going to in Las Vegas the second week of January. So that's gonna be fun. I feel like I can't stop. There's always something going on. So I hope to see you there. If you end up going to CES as well, make sure to say hello if you see me in the hallways running between meetings. And don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time. Bye, y'all.